Right now, tonight is the final evening of the Republican National Convention. Former President Donald Trump will formally accept the party's nomination for the third time at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. These are live looks inside and outside the arena right now. Now, the former president says his speech will call for unity after the attempt on his life less than a week ago.
Yeah, Trump's speech will cap off an eventful week in politics, including President Biden's diagnosis of COVID, as pressure mounts for him to step aside in the presidential race. The former president has appeared each of the first 3 days with a white bandage on his ear, covering the wound he sustained in the assassination attempt on Saturday. Mr. Trump has said that he made significant changes to tonight's speech. He rewrote it, and sources say now it's expected to be more personal than his usual comments. The thousands of delegates who nominated Mr. Trump on Monday are eagerly awaiting his speech tonight.
KCRA 3's Edie Lambert has been in Milwaukee all week long covering this for us. Edie, obviously a lot of excitement surrounding tonight.
Well, and especially in about the last 10 minutes, because former President Donald Trump came into Fiserv Forum here. Of course, the crowd went wild, as they have the last 3 nights that he has entered this forum. But of course, tonight is different because they will be hearing from him as he takes the stage. And you just have to think about what a week this has been, from surviving an assassination attempt to accepting the nomination for president here tonight just a few days later. And of course, that speech will be at the end of the night. Right now, we are into the normal program. The band is playing right now, and coming up next, we're going to be hearing from some brothers who are New York real estate investors. You may wonder what delegates do all day, because these sessions are mostly at night, and we can show you one of the areas where they hang out. That's right in front of Fiserv Forum. And you might not expect that they would be out there playing cornhole, but we did see some games set up today right outside the forum. This plaza area is a gathering place for delegates, many of them very dressed up in their patriot colors. There are more than 2,400 delegates here, and right now they are all focused on what former President Trump will say tonight in his first speech since he was attacked. Yvonne, what are you hoping to hear from former President Trump tonight?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. Every time these events since Saturday and every night that I've been here, I just get goosebumps all over me. And whatever he's going to say, I know it's going to be great. It's just going to be great. And I'm already wanting to cry because we need him so bad in this country.
I think we're just excited to hear, how he feels, especially after the attack that he just went through. I mean, he's got to be, that's got to have changed him a little bit. And so we're just kind of looking forward to seeing how he's dealing with that and then what his plans are moving forward. The momentum's really good right now.
See that he's an actual human instead of the demonization that we've seen from the left and the characteristics that they've done of him, and to more unity in our country, and to show everybody that we can and will change our country and return it to we the people, bottom-up government.
And of course, this convention really serves as a kickoff to the campaign season ahead. Only about 3.5 months left before the election. I spoke with California delegates today about the next steps. What happens after all of the excitement of these 4 days of the convention as the delegates fly home to their districts in California?
We're going to play a major role congressionally, bringing in new members of Congress, making sure that our members of Congress are reelected, and really contributing to the House majority. So when we get President Trump elected and he's back in the White House, he's going to need a House majority, and California plans to deliver that.
Not only do you have a united, excited delegation from all over America, but in California, which is, bluish. It's a bluish state. We're picking up seats in the Central Valley. Not only do we have 3 Hispanics running that will get reelected, not only do we have 2 Korean American immigrant females getting reelected in Orange County, but in Stockton's a new hot spot.
Now, that seat that he's talking about is, in the Stockton area. It has Stockton Mayor Kevin Lincoln taking on the incumbent Josh Harder. As for tonight, in addition to former President Trump's acceptance speech, a lot of delegates are very excited because they're expecting former First Lady Melania Trump to be here at Fiserv Forum. She is not on the speaker's list, but she is expected to be here in the family suite. She hasn't been here for the rest of this week, so there's a lot of excitement about seeing supporting her. She is also expected to be on stage with her husband for the balloon drop at the end. So we'll have all of that coming up tonight here on KCRA3 in Milwaukee. I'm Edie Lambert. Now, Ty, Lisa, back to you.
And Edie, campaign merchandise always popular at conventions. What have you been seeing?
Well, I've been seeing some long lines and some super happy merchants. There's a lot of people buying merchandise here right now. Let's show you some of what's for sale here in Milwaukee. People have told us they're looking for everything from souvenirs to gifts to gear that they can wear as they're campaigning for the Trump-Vance ticket in the months ahead. You can find pretty much anything you could imagine with the Trump name or his face or both. One vendor told us they ran out of some of the t-shirts on the very first day. And Lisa and Ty, I can tell you that as soon as J.D. Vance was announced as the vice presidential nominee on Monday, it took about 5 minutes for the Trump-Vance merchandise to show up for sale. Kind of like a Super Bowl.
Kind of like they were planning it.
Yeah, like a championship game. They were already printing that stuff in advance.
Exactly.
So what's the most unusual booth you've seen there at the convention, Edie? I know you've been to so many conventions. It'd be hard to see something that would surprise Edie, but did anything surprise you?
Oh, this surprised me. There is a Trump poetry station set up. We sent video back because we're like, guys, you have to see this. So let's show you what that looks like. Some guys took all of former President Trump's tweets and turned them into a book of poetry, and get this, they sold out. They only had display copies left, so now they're taking orders. They also have a petition to name Donald Trump the next poet laureate of the United States. Now, there are some other interesting things. There's a place where you can take a picture with a Richard Nixon backdrop. You know, he's doing this, but Trump poetry, I mean, yeah, that took us by surprise.
Who would have thought?
Of course, it's sold out. All right, Edie Lambert, thank you for your coverage all week long there from Milwaukee. We appreciate it.